2023 was a very interesting year for people. And I think what has happened since coming out of COVID and the cost of living crisis and people feeling more and more isolated in real life, no matter how connected they seem to be online, I truly see as we begin this new year of 2024, people are beginning to shift in themselves. There are changes that people have started to now do in how they approach finding the person that they want and how they're approaching dating in general and how they're approaching sex. So I want to go with you what I see changing in the dating landscape as we begin 2024. There's some things that I think are going to change for the better, and there are some things I think are going to change for the worse. And I'll give you a reason for each of those things just so you hear my justification and you can make your own mind up. So first thing is I think less people are going to be using dating apps. Dating apps have been around for quite a long time now, like significantly so. Enough for an entire generation to grow up with it. And what people are finding is not only have dating apps become oversaturated, so for women it's just full of matches with guys who are just looking to hook up, and also for most men who don't get any matches and it's just filled with women promoting their OnlyFans on there. A lot of people on dating apps are just there looking for validation. And there are a significant number of people on dating apps that are actually in relationships. I believe the statistic was something around 28%. So that's almost 1 in 3 people are in a relationship. I mean, I literally just pulled that stat out of my ass, but I do remember reading that somewhere. Again, this just ties into the validation. For the vast majority of men, their experience is they hardly get any matches on dating apps. Most get 0. And the guys who are getting the matches have an abundance of choice and opportunity, which only ever encourages the all-you-can-eat sexual buffet, providing very little incentive for those guys to be looking for something serious. Whereas for women, the experience that most are getting is that they're getting the matches on dating apps, but the guys that they end up matching with and actually going out with just end up being fuckboys and just looking to hook up and just looking for casual fun. Their only interest in physical and sexual play. And so because of this, I think people are going to start assigning less investment and less energy into dating apps for looking for something serious. I do think people will still use it as a form of validation, pretty much like Instagram, more or less. Anytime that we post something on social media, we are looking for validation, whether that's validation for what we're doing, for either how good we look, or for the direction that we're going in. So I think less people are going to turn to dating apps for serious dating. But people still want that dopamine hit of being validated that, ding, you got a match. So any people who are looking for a serious commitment and a serious relationship, I think they're actually going to start looking at people within their circles. They're going to start prioritizing meeting people in real life. Because ironically, even though almost half of relationships today are all met through dating apps and online dating websites, when you ask most people would they rather meet their partner in real life, almost everyone says yes. And I can see people beginning to become more intentional with that, equating less use of dating. And following on from that, dating coaches are going to become more utilized. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, because I am one. I'm just going by what I'm seeing. I've noticed a higher level of interest. I mean, yes, this platform is growing. And for those of you who are watching and always supporting my content, I appreciate you. Couldn't do this without you. But also a lot more people in ratio proportion have been reaching out asking for help and guidance in their dating life, saying that they're ready for something serious and they're tired of being stuck in this cesspool of dating. And so with that, people are starting to invest not just with their energy and time, but also financially into guidance and their pathway to the relationship that they want, because they're realizing that the current main narrative isn't helping them find what it is they're looking for. People are starting to think that, okay, if I can invest 3 to 6 to 12 months to potentially find my life partner, the person I'm going to choose forever, which is arguably one of the most important decisions we will make in our life, that's more than worth it for most people. It's a worthwhile investment. And all of this furthermore plays into people coming offline and more into real life, which is actually a really good thing. Now, something we have to address, which will definitely be playing a part as we head into this new year, is the cost of living crisis. How everything is increasing: mortgage, rent, food, petrol, dog food, any essential thing you can think of. Because everything is increasing, there is more of a necessity to pair up with someone. There's more of a necessity to establish a relationship and move it forward so that you can survive comfortably together. And it's funny because back in the day, the reason people would actually couple up and would stay married, even if they weren't in the best marriages, there was a necessity to have someone else that you could go through life with, somebody else you could share the burdens of life with, that actually contributed to your overall survival. And what's happened over the past maybe 50 years is that necessity was no longer there. It was relatively reasonable and easier for any single person, man or woman, to survive independently of having a partner. However, now I think with the cost of living, especially if you're in a major city, most people are realizing actually having somebody is starting to become not just a desire, but also a necessity to live a reasonably comfortable life. Now, ironically, of course, I do not think that the cost of everything going up is actually a good thing. However, if this means that we're going to be more patient with our partners, if this means that we're going to give more people a chance because there's more of a need for it now, then I actually think that's somewhat of a silver lining. We're better together than apart. It may force us to take dating more seriously and more realistically, and to actually seek out integral qualities for a great partnership, as opposed to, the superficial stuff like money and looks, all of that. We actually begin to care more about the person's character as opposed to what can you do for me? Now, how do I think this is going to change for women? Well, I think women are going to be leaving situationships behind as we enter 2024, which is a good thing. I think many women are having the experience of going from situationship to situationship to situationship, which essentially means going from undefined intimacy to undefined intimacy to undefined intimacy. And what's happening is that because so many women have experienced this and are tired of this, they're going to be saying no to situationships. They're going to start advocating for themselves, saying, okay, well, if we are going to be involved, it's on the condition that we both understand that this is leading to something serious. I think many women are going to be making their intentions more clear. I mean, I've been seeing that recently, which again, I believe is a good thing. And I think part of this is knowing how to differentiate between the guys who are just looking for a, quote unquote situationship, and the guys who aren't just looking for casual experiences. The guys who are actually open and potentially even specifically looking for something more serious. Yeah, women are going to be leaving behind situationships for 2024. And with that said, I do believe that women are going to be leaving behind icks and superficial red flags. I've seen more women recently begin to realize, and especially from women that I've interviewed and talked to that you might have seen, that things that might have been an ick before actually isn't a big deal. That things she would disqualify men for wasn't actually worth ruling out an entire human being. And I think especially if you've not had a great experience in dating, what can happen for us naturally is that we start to become oversensitive to anything that could be a potential warning sign. So for example, a woman might say, oh, he was 5 minutes late to the date. Instant red flag. That's an ick and it's turning me off completely. No, of course, being late for a date isn't punctual, it isn't nice, it's not courteous, but there could be a valid reason for why he was late. But if 300 seconds is enough to dismiss an entire human being, then eventually it means that the threshold to dismiss everyone just gets lower and lower. And then before you know it, there's no one left to build a connection with. Someone really amazing could pass us by purely because we made an error in judgment. And so I believe what is going to happen is more and more women are going to be letting go of the superficial standards and giving more regular guys a chance. A guy who is regular in caliber, but is higher in quality. The caliber of a man refers to his economic status and financial position in life. The quality of a man refers to his character. And many women are beginning to realize that the super hot, attractive, successful guys, while it is fun to indulge in, it's not leading to what they actually want, which is commitment, which is companionship, which is fulfillment. I think people essentially are going to be having a more conservative approach to dating. And part of the big reason for this as well is because there's a lot more stuff out there now on the internet of men expressing their own standards, of men expressing what it is that they look for in order to give commitment to a woman. A lot of stuff that women just frankly didn't know. And it's not their fault, because a big reason why women didn't know is because for so long in mainstream media, a man expressing his standards for the kind of woman he wants to be with has always been labeled as misogynistic, always been labeled as patriarchal. However, what some women are starting to realize, and I'm starting to see this as well, is that the women who are actually getting the relationships with the men that they want, who are in happy relationships, getting that fulfillment in this area of their lives, they do have a much more conservative approach to dating than the mainstream media likes to portray. They have a much more conservative approach to relationships. And some of these values in recent climate would have been labeled as conventional or traditional, or again, misogynistic. Like, why should a guy care if I do OnlyFans? Or should I feel bad if I want my man to lead? Or why should he care if I'm really out there sexually? But actually, these are some of the things that a lot of men value in a woman. And so I believe more women are going to be exercising their conservative values when it comes to dating men, and seeing if that attracts the kind of man or relationship that they want, in which for a lot, I think it will. Now on to the men. How do I think men are going to be changing and shifting as we head into 2024? The truth is, I think a negative thing is that more men are going to be leaving dating behind. A lot of men have had the experience and observed and realized that unless they're that tall, attractive, successful dude, it is the biggest uphill climb to even get on a date with the average woman. The dating landscape has become so skewed, so much so that according to statistics of dating apps and dating websites, 80% of women are chasing the top 20% of men. Therefore, if a guy is not even near that region, I think he's just gonna consider giving up on dating entirely. Now, whether he's going to be saying, okay, I'm gonna leave it for now, but I'm gonna come back when I'm in a place where I am attractive and desirable to women, or whether he's just going to give up entirely, is really dependent on the guy. But there is going to be two subgroups of men who do leave dating behind for 2024. There's going to be the subgroup of men who go away for the next few years, and when I say go away, I mean disconnect from the dating scene, and they are going to be working on themselves. They're going to be working on their physique, they're going to be working on their confidence, they're going to be working on their finances, they're going to be working on their status. They're going to be dedicating the next maybe 18 to 24 to 36 months to getting into a position where they are attractive to women, instead of maybe trying to chase women who maybe wouldn't choose them now. And then there's going to be the other subgroup of guys. And this group is scarily getting bigger by the months. These group of guys are going to be retreating into video games, are going to be retreating into online streaming, into porn, into AI girlfriends. Like, yeah, that's a service now. And apparently sex robots is somewhere in the near future. Like, what is the world coming to? There are some guys who are going to be retreating into all of that because they don't feel they have a chance with regular women today just because of their experiences. Now, a positive thing that I do think is going to shift in men this year is I think more are going to be looking for something fulfilling, as in the guys who are in the dating scene. Guys who are in that top percent bracket who have the most opportunity with women, where they've been having maybe a lot of casual sex. While they may not stay away from that completely, they're starting to realize that doing that isn't that fulfilling long term. That maybe choosing a woman that you truly love and respect, who you can care for and who will care for you in return, that's something that's maybe worth pursuing. And so I think a lot of men who are in that bracket of just dating around and casually sleeping with women left, right, and center, a lot of them are going to stop entertaining that kind of behavior and also entertain less of those kinds of women. I think they're really truly going to be exercising the values that they have, and that, you know what, just because a woman is attractive doesn't mean you should want to sleep with her. They're going to choose more wisely in who they give their energy to actually choose a woman who has a bit more substance, rather than just choosing a woman because she looks really good. Because the reality is, a lot of women look good, at least to most men. Do you think I missed anything? What do you think about my thoughts and what I've already started to see as we head into this new unknown year? And if you're ready for that shift in yourself, then make sure you enroll in my Claim Your Man program below, where I show you how to do just that. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep it slick.